We're
Oh,
recording
awesome.
now.
Okay. All right, because I wanted to make a disclaimer because I already know I'm gonna say something that's either off the wall or it might offend a few viewers. I don't know if the castaways are all gonna be watching this or not.
Well, I'm sure that the podcast will also offend a couple people, so I
Good.
think people will be more upset with us than at you. So
Really? Okay, perfect then. Well, I still do want to say if anyone's listening to this, and although I don't think anyone's gonna be like looking at this one specifically for me, but I am sorry. But I think I'm allowed to be salty, so deal with it.
let's
Maybe.
bring the salt, let's bring the pepper, let's bring the cumin, the cinnamon,
The not the
the
cumin,
coriander.
the coriander.
This is our very first exit interview for Northern Lights Survivor Season 2 Earth, Wind, and Fire. And we are joined with Brooke, the Vemperor themselves. And we have some questions for them that we are going to get into. Brooke, I just want to say, I really didn't pay super close attention to the game. I wasn't like Styles. Styles was our resident, like, he's in every single VR, he's in every single VC, every single DR, everything. But I would watch your video diaries and I would just get my entire life. And I didn't give a shit what else was going on because I was getting your perspective, and that's all that mattered in that moment.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. I love making my little DR, my little video confessionals. Because I love to talk for a really long period of time, but sometimes it's just better if I don't type. I just talk. My confessionals are long though. I didn't know they were supposed to be like 3 minutes. They're all like 20, like a minimum.
It's like a mini TV show. We should honestly put them together into like a little. We should do.
Real. No, for real, actually. Also, like, okay, one thing. I just realized I have like my whole name on here. Although I kind of don't care. I've literally given my social security number away in these orgs, but you might want to like
Yeah,
block
no,
that out.
I already got the thing we're gonna put up that will like block that, so you don't even have to worry about that.
Perfect.
Um,
That's beautiful.
cool. So the first question I have about your game is kind of like going back to the very start, and it is going into the season. What was your initial strategy, and how much did you actually follow it as the season went on? Like basically, just like where did you start strategically, and then how did you end up?
So, to be honest with you, one of the things I try my best to do is play really, really hard for pre-merge and swap specifically, because if I do that, then I can usually coast at merge. People make their strongest connections at pre-merge and everything like that. So what I basically was doing is I was trying my best to get as many people as I can and kind of feel out the tribe, see who I could see myself at the end with. A lot of the times I will go to the end with someone that I meet during pre-merge and swap. So I started off with just playing really hard socially, trying to be like the golden retriever of the tribe, as I always say in my confessionals. And from there, it went to swap, and literally meeting Luke and Peter was like basically perfect. That was 100% what I usually want in a game, is to meet people from another tribe who usually have been like on the bottom or middle, like I have, and then I ally with those. Maybe like a person that like is an enemy, which was Jimmy, and then I usually coast to the end. Although coast is maybe let me not say coast because people are gonna think I'm goading, but I usually am fine after I find like 3 people that I
Yeah,
ally with.
I mean, you kind of manifested that then because that's pretty much what happened. Um, Specifically your pre-merge game, you were eating up that first tribe. Like you were at the very center, you were the core. You and Floyd were kind of just like making everything happen. Um, Talk about your pre-merge tribe and then tell me how your game changed once you saw that Floyd went home during the swap.
Oh my God. Floyd going home literally broke my heart. Holy crap. Because he was my no. I honestly don't think I had number one after Floyd, honestly. As far as like that tribe was concerned, like honestly, I don't know. People will argue that Steve ran that tribe, and honestly, that's what we did too. But I think it's more important to be the heartthrob of a pre-merge tribe than to be the leader. And that is exactly like what I was trying to do. Floyd was kind of like semi on the bottom, but he was still like active, like a very active member. Like no one would vote him out or anything like that. And that was perfect for me. So to be honest, I don't know. I'm sorry, I kind of forgot half the question that you said. Could you like repeat the other half of it?
Just kind of talk about the first tribe you were on, and then how did your game change after Floyd went home?
Yes. Also, like I think I was really kind of trying to believe Vince with the whole like, oh, he wanted me to be his number one. And that was perfect, honestly, was having like another person that thought I was their number one. Honestly, I don't know if he was lying about that now, like based off of what he's been saying, but who knows, it's Vince. Um, Vince was pretty okay. Like he honestly, I had a lot of hope for him, but to be honest, I didn't think I would see myself at the end with him. Steve, we all kind of knew that Steve was pretty much a pretty early like social threat. Um, just like in general. And also like there was like little kind of like tidbits that I would pick up on with Steve and just with the other tribes as well. Like I never talked to any of the other tribes, but like things like, oh, Tara blocked out Steve for this immunity challenge. I was like, why would they block out specifically Steve? There's no reason for them to do that. Honestly, if, I guess I don't know, but on it made me like think that like there was something more going on that people actually knew about Steve's reputation and everything like that. Lily, Gianna, and everything like they were kind of inactive, unfortunately. Although I saw Lily kind of being a really good ally of mine at the end of the game, which she ended up coming in clutch with that whole Leah vote. As for like when like swap happened and Floyd like went home, I was like trying to get another like late game ally, and I was like, I'm gonna hold off on Floyd. Floyd's my number one. But then when that happened, I was like, okay, I already was looking at Luke to be like a closer ally of mine, but now I really have to invest in that the best that I can. And at that point in time, I started talking to Peter more too because I got scared. I got spooked. I was like, well, I've lost two, like I lost one of my biggest allies. Why don't I just try to get Peter in with me because he's already like Luke's like number one, so might as well, right?
Yeah. Once the merge hits, shit kind of goes wild. But going in, who were you specifically excited to work with that maybe you hadn't got the opportunity to work with yet or hadn't met, because they were on an opposing tribe? Give me like your thoughts going into the merge.
So, excuse me. Everyone on that side was like Derek, Vince, Leah, and Rachel. I was excited to see Vince again. I was incredibly excited to see Vince because I was like, okay, like swap has kind of been a little iffy. Like I felt like I had blown up my game at that point. Although like even though like I was not getting the blame for Liv, I still felt like I needed to be careful because now Jimmy thinks I'm like Steve's goat. But I was excited to work with Derek because Luke and Peter seemed to like be under the impression that Derek would work with them and he was like gonna be really close with them. But it didn't make much sense with like the talks me and Steve had. It was like something's going on over on that tribe. Either Vince betrayed all of them like heartlessly, or like they're just like he's kind of just being pushed out of like an inner trio of like Leah, Rachel, and Derek. So I was really interested to see where Derek was in at that point because he had lost Sam, and now he technically had like two others that were kind of waiting for him that were basically kind of following all of the votes that he said. That's from what I understand like, how the Terra tribe went. So I was excited to see Derek the most actually, and he's a beautiful man, so might as well, right? He's beautiful. Like holy crap! Like I don't think anyone understands how beautiful Derek is. Holy crap!
He doesn't look like a real person. He kind of looks like an AI generated like model.
Thank you. Like he looks like one of those like I said like exercise like those exercise CDs that you get in
Oh yeah.
2007. That's
Yeah.
there. Like he would definitely wear Under Armour with like New Balances. I feel like that's him.
Or like one of those really hot backup dancers in like a music video.
Literally, like that one KFC Mother's Day like video.
The what?
You've never
No, what is that?
there's like a KFC Mother's Day commercial, and it's just a whole bunch of like men. Like it's just a whole bunch of men. I don't
Well,
know why it's for KFC.
We will be
But
searching that up later then.
please do. It's great.
So this question is a little bit more specific. When the merge hit, you found yourself in the Leftovers Alliance. This had a lot of the heavy hitters in it, and basically all of you made it to the end game. Do you think that getting some of these players out earlier would have helped you or hurt your game if that had happened?
Actually, I feel like it would have hurt me. And I can say a few things why. But actually the way that I know, just based off of like speculation, is the fact that oh wait, can I ask how the votes went at Final Tribal Council? Like who voted who?
I don't have that on me right now.
It's fine. It's fine. But I'm 100% I'm betting that the people that were in that like stupid what clams like a like trio alliance or whatever, whoever was in that like alliance probably voted for Peter. And it's because of this whole like mentality of like, ooh, it's friends first and game second. That is what I think it was. I was not in the click enough with Leah and Rachel, and they wouldn't let me get in after like, the first like cycle. ended.
I think
So
yeah, Leah voted for Peter, Rachel voted for Peter.
who would have thought? Leah, Rachel. Who else voted for Peter?
Um, sorry, I'm going through their
No, it's okay.
DRs. Is there anyone specifically? Okay, Steve did Jimmy,
That's what I thought.
Vince did Peter,
Mm-hmm.
Luke did Peter, Derek did
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, Faya did Jimmy.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, no, and this is absolutely no offense to Luke, but of course the players that actually think more about game voted for Jimmy. Because anyone with like half a brain and would be like, oh, Jimmy definitely deserved to win that. Bro had like an idol. He had a bunch of different tokens. He played like that game. Like I have words on that. But anyway, that's like what makes me think that if like I had gotten Steve out earlier, if I had gotten Jimmy out earlier, maybe even Peter at this point, I would have gone home because it's definitely a click. It's 100% a click that Leah was leading, and she wouldn't let anyone in if they didn't, I guess, I don't know, fucking grovel before her. I don't know what she wanted from me. That's basically what I'm saying though. I don't think it would have worked out.
What do you think was the most important relationship that you forged in this game that got you to where you were?
Honestly, right? If you had asked me that question like about a week ago, I probably would have said Luke or Peter, but I'm gonna say Jimmy. I'm gonna say Jimmy because I do not know how that vote would have gone if Jimmy didn't think I need to call Brooke or something like that, or I need to get on Brooke's good side. If Jimmy didn't think that, I probably would have been gone
At
because
which
what
at which vote?
the Derek vote. The
Okay.
Derek vote was when Jimmy had called me and said, "Hey, Peter leaked everything. I leaked some things to Vince, and now it's a shit show. I don't know what to do anymore." And honestly, I did that vote. Like they're not gonna give me credit for that, but whatever, it's fine. The like I think Jimmy, he really wanted to get on my good side because he found himself getting to the end like with me, or maybe like he found himself getting to a specific point if he had me on his side, and he also could win FTC against me, like not even like a question. So honestly, I would probably say Jimmy was my most important relationship that I made, and it really affected a lot because Peter and Luke did not give me nearly as much as Jimmy did at some points. Like I trusted Jimmy more than I did Luke and Peter of all people at some point.
I guess kind of talking about Jimmy, he went on an insane immunity run at the end of the season. Was there an opportunity to get rid of him before that? And do you think that you still would have been able to make the final three if he wasn't around?
I think that I mean it could have been it could have changed a lot if Jimmy went home instead of Liv. I think that probably would have been the best time for me to get rid of Jimmy. But at the time, Jimmy was downplaying his game just enough that I really didn't know what he did. I knew he was manipulative. Which honestly, we love that. We love manipulative kings. I would let myself get manipulated by Jimmy 100%. Like holy crap. But I think that that was probably the best time that I could have got rid of him because he Liv probably wouldn't have spread the narratives as hard as Jimmy did. Jimmy spread a lot of narratives about like me and our general like group for a long time, and he I think honestly that probably cost me like a vote, at least one vote from someone else because they all thought that I was nothing but a goat. I think that probably would have been the best time to get him out. If I had gotten him out at like merge, or if I had gotten him out like at the Derek vote or something like that instead, I don't think I would have made it because I mean maybe at the Derek vote, but my reputation was ruined enough already. You know what I mean? If I did get to final three, I wouldn't have won either way because Jimmy like went on a rampage with my name.
Well, that would have been interesting to see, like, if Liv stayed over Jimmy, what would have happened? Because little T on the pod right before Liv went home, me and Lene had her as our winner pick. We were like, Liv is gonna win this game. And then she went home literally
Oh,
the next night, and we were like, never
oh,
mind.
never mind.
And
That's
then we were like,
crazy.
Rachel is gonna win this game. Rachel is winning this game. And then the next day, Rachel went home. We're like, oh, never mind. Um,
Really? You guys thought Rachel was gonna win?
We had a
I have
lot
a
of
lot of
picks,
feelings
and
about
they
that.
I had a really bad hand in like picking a winner, but Styles had picked Peter from the very beginning. So Styles was our like on our
Really?
little draft, I
That
guess.
makes sense for Styles that he would pick Peter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, Going towards the like end of the game, what was your ideal final three and like in a scenario that you think you could have won? And okay, we'll just
And
start with that and then I'll ask the next one.
yeah, I mean, I used to always say that like not Jimmy, Peter and Luke were my like probably like my best bet. But I mean, if I had to think about it now after all this time, like Styles had said that I probably could have won against Vince and Luke, which sucks like a lot. That sucks to hear because Vince probably could have won even in that final three because everyone thought I had no gameplay. And it's very obvious of how like the votes went that people voted with their hearts and not exactly with their minds. So I think he still would have won that. And if not Vincent, it definitely would have been Luke because Luke had very smart gameplay at the end of the day, even though he didn't have as much of a cohesive story as I think the rest of us did, but he still had something that he could have argued at the end, and he would have gotten a lot of votes just based off of because of how he was like I think the heartthrob of that alliance. At this point in time, I don't think I would have won any of the lineups that I had, unless maybe it was against Rachel, but I was not going to deal with Rachel another day, if I'm being honest with you. So I don't know. I don't think I could have won any of them because of how many people from that stupid alliance was in the jury. I don't think I could have won it.
I guess like your story, I mean, you really were the heart of the season. I mean, obviously production, we loved just like hosting you, but just from like a narrative looking at what happened on the season, like you were in such a good spot and then suddenly it all kind of came crashing down because of things that came out about you. How did that affect how you were playing? Like, did it feel like you were kind of climbing a mountain just trying to like build back that reputation?
Yeah, it felt like I was basically against the river, and I didn't think there was any way out of me out of it. I like in my confessional, I would get so incredibly like depressed because I was like, there's no way I win this season. Everyone is so like dead set on just not liking me or not appreciating my gameplay. People don't even partly see what I'm doing. And it felt like insurmountable, honestly. And the only kind of how do you say closure that I got for that was when I said that I was the one that controlled the live vote and people said that they were surprised. That is the only closure I ever got for any of my gameplay. And like I don't know, it sucked like a lot. It felt like I couldn't do anything about what had happened. And after the season was over, it felt even worse because it was like people were basically saying that they already knew they were voting for Peter. And I was just like, fuck. Like holy like what was I supposed to do? You know what I mean? Um I mean, it didn't change my gameplay much. I was like, I'm just gonna keep playing. I'm not gonna start groveling for people's approval. I just kept saying every single round, if you want to vote together, then give me something to work with. But none of them did. And yet it was still my fault at the end of the day that they didn't know how to social game with other people. So
Yeah. I guess you kind of answered this next one already, but I'll kind of add to it. So going into final tribal, did you think you had a shot to win? And I think you kind of knew where you were at. What did you try and do in your speech in your questions to kind of like change the perception?
so this is gonna be funny actually. The like the that day before that, I had never done like a live FTC before, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make this work. I only really talk better when like VCs, even though they're kind of like a part of my game, they can be a weakness for me because I really kind of do need something to follow off on to actually like say like how I'm feeling. So I feel like I tried my best to just be confident. I literally looked up like a top 10 list of like the best FTC speeches in Survivor
Not
or
the Miss
whatever.
Mojo.
Yeah, like I had never seen an FTC before actually, like on Survivor. I never saw one before. So I was like, okay, what do I need to do? And the one thing they always said was like speak with fervor, determination, say how you felt about your own game. I tried to say that I thought I played great. I still think I played great. And I tried to show confidence and I didn't want them to think that I was gonna just go out quietly. And even at the end there, I called out Peter and Jimmy because they were just straight up fucking lying about one of the votes. And I was like, no, I did that. I did this vote. you're not going to take that away from me. You can, I mean, because that's the thing, is that I thought that I knew these people at the end of the day were still going to get more votes than me. I knew that Jimmy was probably going to win, although, I mean, I'm really surprised that he didn't. But I knew at the end of the day that if I was going to just go down like that, I wasn't going to go down with these people not knowing what I did. You know what I mean? These people need to know that I did, in fact, play this game, no matter what they think, and no matter how much they want to call me a goat or say these things about me or insult me. I still played this game at the end of the day. That's kind of what I wanted to go home with. I kind of realized, like, after like Jimmy's speech, that I wasn't winning though.
Is there anything, because we're like 3 days now past the finale, kind of looking back with all the information you have now, do you think there's anything you could have done differently to maybe garner some more jury votes, whether that be in the last few days or at the final tribal?
I've thought about it a lot, and I really don't know. Because I don't, and I, at this point in time, I kind of don't think that was the case. I feel like so many jurors go into FTC already knowing who they want to vote. And I have a inkling, just a little inkling, because of the type of player that Rachel is. She probably said, or maybe not her, but it was someone in that group that said, I don't even want to vote anymore. There's no one that I want to vote for anymore. Because so many jurors say that. They're like, I'm not going to vote for this person because they didn't work with me or because I didn't like them or something like that, and not about their gameplay. I I don't know. I think about it like a lot. Like it gets to me because it's like right at the end of like this season, but I don't know. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that last part one more time so I can make sure I'm answering the whole question?
Is there anything that you think, looking back now, you could have done differently that would have garnered you more jury votes?
Yeah. No, because like I said, people, yeah, I remember Vince at the end of that season had said to me that he was looking for me to say that I had tried to contact other people. But I made it pretty clear that I did, in fact, try to contact other people. And I even gave context for what happened when me and Rachel had that like little disagreement. Um, I came to people, I talked to them, and I even tried to talk to Vince. And I told him, I was like, so you're telling me that I didn't talk to you. There was a point in time where I did, in fact, talk to you, and then you ignored me for 8 hours. And then he was like, oh, well, this is not, this is what happened. And it's just like, no, dog, I don't want to hear that. Like, either I tried or I didn't try. You were punishing me for your own mistakes and your own shortcomings. And it's not like, I just think that I don't think there was anything I could have done other than make people feel better about voting for me. But I feel like that is something that I'm not an expert with. I'm not an expert at navigating that type of thing and just being like, hey, vote with your mind, not your heart. Because even then, at that point in time, Jimmy should have won, not me.
Um, if you could go back and change one moment in your game, if anything, what would it be and why?
If you had, I mean, like, if not keeping in mind FTC or what I've heard, like about like my gameplay, I probably would have gotten Steve out earlier. I probably would have voted him out at that tribal that Ryan went home instead. I feel like that is a huge thing that I could have done, that I could have put on my resume, that I could have put under my belt. And if you would now, but like now that like keeping in mind FTC probably would have just changed that whole like first talking stage with Leah and Rachel. And by changing that, I mean I just wouldn't have gotten high that evening because Leah's whole like I like whole like complaint with me was that you didn't answer me when I asked you about your tribal. And I was like, dude, I was high as fuck. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know what you want from me. I tried to call with her so that I could tell her about the vote. I'm pretty sure at some point I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. I didn't even talk about game here. We can talk about it soon. Like, if you just called me, like, I don't know. I tried. You know what I mean? Like, just, I guess more than anything, I would have tried to baby them a little bit more because and maybe make less mistakes in their eyes, but I don't know what that is like to this day. So maybe that, but otherwise like I just would have probably voted out Steve earlier because he caused me so much trouble.
Yeah. This is something that kind of I do. And I'm curious what everyone else thinks about this. What will you take from this game? Like, what did you learn about the way that you play or the way that you respond to things that you will take with you into the next game?
I think that over the course of like my like 1.5 or like year org career, I've learned that I can usually tell when people are bullshitting me, and I'm usually right about it. I have been so like conservative with like talking about my instincts and my skills, but I think that I read everyone pretty well that whole season. And I knew like when they were bullshitting me. And honestly, I still didn't do like mess. I know that I don't have to play that way to get to the end. And that makes me happy for myself because I know that in order for me to get to the end, I don't have to sit there and be like, I don't know, maybe I'll do this for a vote. No, I don't have to say anything. I can just simply be myself and still get to the end. Are people going to like me? Obviously not, but I can still be myself and get to the end. So I guess it kind of helps me like a little bit more. I just still don't know what makes winner material.
Ending things on a happier note, what was your favorite moment of the season, whether it be a move that you made, a fun VC, a funny moment, whatever you want?
Um, can I still like a few, like at least maybe like a
Mm-hmm.
two or three?
Yeah.
So honestly, I really like enjoyed the arguments. I loved Eddie's like every time that we had to dunk on Vince. That was the funniest thing ever. But literally any time that Vince got angry made me happy. Like I mean that like in the nicest way possible. That and then also a specific VC that I had with Luke and Peter, where I said that Old Spice smells what deodorant tastes like. And they like laughed about that for like ages. And I was like, I'm right. I'm just simply correct. And hopefully that anyone who listens to this believes that too now. Um, and then maybe like just in the entirety of like talking to Floyd, that was probably one of the best like conversations that I had had with a person in a game in a long time. And that was probably like, man, I really wish I would have had like Floyd at least in swap or something. You know what I mean? Just have more time with him. So
Yeah. Floyd was my recruit. I played with him right before, and I was like, you're a absolute gem of a human. Please play this game I'm about to be proud
you
on.
are so lucky. Holy
Oh,
crap. How far did you get with him?
I was the jury boot, and he made it to final five. So we had a little bit more time than you and him did, but
Woo!
yeah, love that
What?
man. Love Floyd.
I love him. He's like my dad. I love
Mm-hmm.
him. He's the best. I love him so much.
He is. Well, Brooke, thank you so much for doing this exit interview. I think you should be very proud of your game. I think you killed it. You were so fun. You gave us personality. You gave us all of the things we needed. So, from a production like stance, thank you so much. You were a joy to have, and I would love to see you come back sometime.
Hopefully I can. Seriously though, thank you guys so much. This is probably one of the most different orgs I've ever played. I've never had hosts care this much about the cast before. So I just have to say thank you. You guys are doing great. I literally tell all my friends about this org and I'm like, y'all gotta play this. Y'all have to play this. This is the best thing. Like everyone VCs and like the hosts actually care about your existence. And they're like, yo, really on God? So hopefully I can recruit some people to come here because
Yes,
it's a great org.
season three, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brooke.